Hey everyone, welcome back. You know I love diving deep into films, but you guys requested this one, so buckle up because we're going full holiday mode with this deep dive. That's right, we're talking Jingle All the Way. We'll unpack why it's become such a holiday viewing tradition for some folks, and for others, well, let's just say it's a bit of a guilty pleasure.
It's definitely a movie that sparks a lot of conversation. I mean, you either love it for its over-the-top humor and that nostalgic 90s vibe, or you love to hate it.
Right. But either way, it gets people talking. And that's what we're here for today, to break down why Jingle All the Way has become such a cultural touchstone.
I'm really excited to dig into that.
Me too. So let's set the stage. Picture this. It's 1996. The holiday season is in full swing, and the hottest toy on every kid's list is the Turbo Man action figure.
Oh yeah, every kid wanted to be Turbo Man.
Totally. And that's where our main character, Howard Langston, comes in, played by none other than Arnold Schwarzenegger.
The Terminator is a desperate dad. It's a casting choice you wouldn't expect.
Right, but that's part of the film's charm. You've got this action hero icon trying to navigate the chaos of holiday shopping and parent guilt, all because he promised his son Jamie he'd get him the impossible-to-find Turbo Man.
It's like the ultimate test for any action hero.
No kidding. Battling crowds of frantic shoppers, facing off against a rival dad played by Sinbad, who's also on the hunt for Turbo Man. Even dealing with a shady mall Santa played by James Belushi.
And let's not forget Phil Hartman as the over-the-top neighbor. His character adds this whole other layer of comedic rivalry to the story.
It's a wild ride from start to finish. But under all the holiday mayhem, Jingle All the Way actually touched on some pretty relatable themes.
Oh, I
It's
see
like
it.
the pressure to be the perfect parent,
Mm.
especially during the holidays.
And how that pressure can drive us to do some pretty crazy things, like,
Yeah.
dressing up as a superhero and fighting a bunch of Santas for a toy.
Exactly. The movie really captures that feeling of wanting to make your kids happy, no matter what it takes.
Even if it means sacrificing your sanity in the process.
That's so true. And I think that's one of the reasons why this movie still resonates with audiences today.
For sure, parents can relate to that feeling of holiday pressure, even if it's not to the same extreme as Howard Langston.
And let's be real. Who hasn't faced that last-minute shopping panic trying to find the must-have toy of the season? In '96, it was all about Beanie Babies and Tickle Me Elmo.
Those were crazy times.
They were. And even though we have online shopping now, that frenzy hasn't really gone away.
If anything, it's intensified.
Right. So in a way, Jingle All the Way is kind of a time capsule. It captures that specific moment in time when toy crazes were at their peak.
And it does it with a humor that's both nostalgic and kind of cringeworthy.
You know what I mean?
Totally. It's like watching a home video of the 90s, but with Arnold Schwarzenegger in the lead role.
It's a unique blend of action comedy and holiday spirit. But enough about the setup and the themes. Let's talk about the man himself, Arnold. Do you think he pulled off this comedic role?
You know what? I think he did. He fully embraced the absurdity of it all. His comedic timing is actually pretty great.
Yeah, he totally commits to the character. And you can tell he's having fun with it.
He's not afraid to poke fun at his action hero image,
Yeah.
which makes it even funnier.
And those scenes where he's physically battling other parents for the Turbo Man figure,
It's pure comedic gold.
they're so over the top. But you can't help but laugh. But let's give credit where credit is due. Arnold's not the only one carrying the comedic weight here.
Oh, absolutely.
The supporting cast is fantastic.
Absolutely top-notch.
You've got Rita Wilson as his wife Liz, who's hilariously exasperated by Howard's antics.
She does a great job of grounding the film, bringing that sense of reality to all the craziness.
Totally. And then there's Sinbad as Myron, Howard's rival dad in the Turbo Man hunt.
Their scenes together are some of the funniest in the movie.
They have such great chemistry.
It's like they're feeding off each other's energy.
And their desperation just keeps escalating until it reaches this hilarious boiling point.
It's a classic comedic duo.
For sure. And then you throw in Phil Hartman as the sleazy neighbor Ted.
He steals every scene he's in.
I know. He's so perfectly smarmy and over the top.
And his interactions with Howard are just priceless.
It's like they represent two different kinds of dads. The workaholic versus the stay-at-home dad.
And they're constantly trying to one-up each other.
And then there's James Belushi as the mall Santa.
That was a fun surprise.
Right. He brings this kind of sleazy yet lovable energy to the role.
He's definitely not your typical jolly Santa,
But he adds to the film's overall sense of absurdity.
which I think is one of its biggest strengths.
Totally agree. So we've got the premise, we've got this amazing cast, but what about the message? What are some of the key themes that Jingle All the Way explores?
Well, I think one of the most obvious themes is consumerism run wild.
Right. The whole movie revolves around this obsessive pursuit of a toy.
And it really satirizes our obsession with material possessions, especially during the holidays.
Like, we get so caught up in finding the perfect gift that we sometimes forget what the holidays are really about. It's about spending time with loved ones, creating memories, not about who has the most expensive or sought-after gifts.
And I think Jingle All the Way highlights that in a really clever way. It's over the top, but it makes you think.
For sure, it's like a cautionary tale disguised as a holiday comedy. And it's a message that's probably even more relevant today than it was in 1996.
Oh, absolutely. With social media and online shopping, we're constantly bombarded with messages telling us to buy more, have more, be more.
It's a never-ending cycle of consumerism.
Exactly. And Jingle All the Way reminds us to step back and appreciate what truly matters.
Yeah, to focus on the things that money can't buy.
Like spending quality time with our loved ones.
Right. But, even with this message about consumerism, Jingle All the Way is still a holiday movie at its core.
Right. It's got that sentimental side, too.
So beyond the satire, does it actually deliver on that heartwarming holiday feeling?
I think it does in a way.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Tell me more.
Well, despite all his mishaps and crazy antics, Howard's heart is in the right place. He genuinely wants to make his son happy. And in the end, he realizes that the best gift he can give Jamie isn't the Turbo Man figure, it's his time and attention.
Oh, that's sweet. So it's like a redemption arc for Howard.
Yeah, kind of. He learns a valuable lesson about what really matters. And it's a lesson that resonates with a lot of people.
It's like he realizes that being present is more important than any material possession.
Exactly. And that's a message that's really at the heart of the holidays.
So yeah, maybe Jingle All the Way is cheesier than a plate of holiday cookies. But it also has this surprisingly genuine message about the importance of family and connection.
It's like a reminder that even amidst all the holiday chaos, the simple things are often the most meaningful.
I like that. So we've talked about the premise, the cast, the themes, the heartwarming element. But what about the pure entertainment value? Does Jingle All the Way deliver on the laughs?
Oh, absolutely.
Because we all need a good laugh during the holiday.
For sure. And this movie is full of hilarious moments. From the ridiculous costumes, to the over-the-top action sequences, to the witty dialogue.
It's a comedy that works on multiple levels.
Right. It's got slapstick humor. It's got witty banter. It's even got some satire thrown in there.
It's a real crowd pleaser.
I think that's why it's become such a popular holiday movie. It's fun. It's relatable. And it just puts you in a good mood.
Absolutely. And you know what else I love about it?
It's that.
It's unapologetically over the top.
Oh, yeah. It doesn't take itself too seriously.
Which is perfect for a holiday movie.
Right. It's like a big, goofy celebration of all the craziness that comes with the season.
It's a movie that embraces the chaos.
And encourages us to laugh at it.
So yeah, if you're looking for a holiday movie that's going to make you think too hard, Jingle All the Way, it's probably not for you.
But if you want something fun, lighthearted, and full of laughs, it's definitely worth a watch.
Right, so we've covered a lot of ground here. We've talked about the plot, the characters, the themes, the humor. But now I want to get into some of the specific moments that make Jingle All the Way so memorable. You know those scenes that you just can't get out of your head?
I think we all have a few of those.
Right. Like for me, the mall Senna fight scene is an absolute classic.
Oh, yeah. It's pure holiday movie mayhem.
You've got Arnold Sinbad,
Oh, yeah.
a bunch of disgruntled Santas,
Yeah.
all brawling it out in a toy store.
It's so ridiculous and over the top.
But it's also brilliantly choreographed. And the way they incorporate all the toys into the fight is just hilarious.
It's like using a Barbie doll as a weapon.
Genius.
Yeah.
And then there's the moment when Howard finally gets his hands on the Turbo Man suit and ends up flying through the air, saving the day at the Christmas parade.
That scene is pure wish fulfillment.
I know. It's like every kid's dream come true.
To be a superhero for a day.
And Arnold totally sells it.
He looks like he's having a blast.
It's so cheesy and over the top, but it's also kind of magical.
It's that perfect blend of action and sentimentality.
Which I think is director Brian Levant's signature style.
He's great at creating these larger-than-life comedic set pieces that blend physical humor with a touch of heart.
And it works perfectly for a movie like Jingle All the Way. But, beyond the big action sequences, the movie's also full of these smaller comedic moments that are just as funny.
Like the scene where Howard tries to buy a Turbo Man figure from a black market toy dealer, and ends up getting scammed.
Oh, yeah, that one's great.
He's so desperate that he's willing to pay anything, and the dealer totally takes advantage of him.
It's a classic con artist scenario.
But with a holiday twist.
And then there's the running gag with the bomb squad.
Oh yeah, they keep showing up at the most inconvenient times.
Like when Howard's trying to sneak into his neighbor's house.
That's always a nice little surprise.
It adds to the film's overall sense of chaos.
Definitely. And speaking of chaos, we can't forget about the reindeer incident.
Oh, man, that scene is wild. When Howard accidentally gets tangled up with a live reindeer,
It's pure slapstick comedy.
Arnold's reactions are priceless.
It's a reminder that he's a master of physical comedy.
Totally. So yeah, Jingle All The Way definitely delivers on the laughs.
It's a movie that knows how to have fun.
And isn't afraid to be silly.
Exactly. And that's what makes it so enjoyable.
But you know what else I appreciate about it?
What's that?
It has a surprising amount of heart.
Yeah, it's not all just jokes and explosions.
There are these genuinely touching moments between Howard and his son Jamie.
Like when Howard finally realizes what truly matters and makes the effort to connect with Jamie on a deeper level.
Yeah, those scenes are really sweet.
And they remind us that despite all the holiday chaos, family is what's most important.
Right. Now let's shift gears a bit and talk about the director, Brian Levant. What do you think he was trying to achieve with Jingle All The Way?
Well, I think he wanted to create a movie that was both entertaining and thought-provoking.
Interesting.
He wanted to make audiences laugh at the absurdity of holiday consumerism, while also reminding them of the true meaning of Christmas.
So kind of like a satire with a heart?
Exactly. He wanted to strike that balance between humor and sentimentality.
And do you think he succeeded?
I think he did, for the most part.
Okay, I can see that. The movie definitely has some sharp observations about the commercialization of the holidays.
But it also has a lot of heart.
And it never loses sight of its comedic core.
It's a tricky balance to strike, but I think Levant pulled it off pretty well.
Now, of course, no movie is perfect. Jingle All The Way has its fair share of flaws, too.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Some critics have pointed out its predictable plot.
And some of the dialogue can be a bit cheesy.
Right, like it's definitely not winning any awards for its screenplay.
But you know what? I think those flaws are part of what makes the movie so charming.
I could see that.
It's not trying to be high art. It's a big, boisterous holiday spectacle.
And it embraces that wholeheartedly.
Exactly. And sometimes that's exactly what you want from a holiday movie.
Something that's fun, familiar, and just plain entertaining.
Jingle All The Way definitely fits the bill.
But beyond the pure entertainment value, I think this film also offers a fascinating glimpse into the anxieties of modern parenting.
Oh, absolutely.
Howard's desperate quest to get the Turbo Man figure for his son speaks to that pressure parents feel to provide the best for their children.
Even if it means going to ridiculous lengths.
Like dressing up as a superhero and brawling with a bunch of Santas.
It's like he's trying to compensate for his own shortcomings as a father by giving his son the most sought-after toy of the season.
Yeah, it's like he thinks that getting Jamie this one toy will somehow make up for all the times he's let him down.
And that's a theme that I think resonates with a lot of parents. We all want to give our kids the best, but sometimes we put too much pressure on ourselves.
Right. We get caught up in this idea of the perfect parent.
And we lose sight of what really matters.
Which is just spending time with our kids.
Yeah.
And letting them know that we love them.
Exactly. And I think Jingle All The Way reminds us of that.
Yeah.
Even in its own chaotic way.
It's like a reminder to let go of the pressure
Mm-hmm.
and just enjoy the moment.
And maybe laugh at ourselves a little bit along the way.
Absolutely. So yeah, maybe Jingle All The Way isn't a cinematic masterpiece, but it's a fun, heartwarming, and surprisingly insightful look at the chaos of the holidays and the lengths we'll go to for the people we love.
It's a movie that's both a product of its time and surprisingly timeless in its themes.
And at the end of the day, isn't that all we can really ask for from a holiday movie?
I think so.
To make us laugh, to make us think, and to remind us of what's truly important.
And maybe to make us a little bit nostalgic for the 90s.
Oh, definitely. All right, well, that's a wrap on part one of our deep dive into Jingle All The Way. We covered a lot of ground, but there's still so much more to discuss, so stay tuned for part two, where we'll delve even deeper into the film's themes and explore its lasting impact on pop culture.
I can't wait.
Me neither. Until then, keep those holiday spirits high, and remember, don't go fighting any mall Santas for the latest must-have toy.
Unless it's absolutely necessary.
Haha, touche. We'll see you soon.
See you.
All right, so we're back and ready to continue our deep dive into Jingle All The Way.
I'm ready for more holiday mayhem.
Me too. And trust me, there's plenty more where that came from. But before we get back to the laughs,
Mm.
I want to touch on something you mentioned earlier about the film's anxieties of modern parenting.
Oh, yeah, that's a really interesting aspect of the film.
It is. I mean, on the surface, it's this wacky comedy about a dad's quest for a toy.
Yeah.
But underneath all that, there's this real sense of desperation, this feeling that Howard needs to prove himself as a father.
Right. It's like he's trying to make up for all the times he's been absent or distracted by work.
Exactly. And he thinks that getting Jamie, this Turbo Man figure, will somehow erase all of that,
It's like he's trying to buy his son's love.
which of course we know doesn't really work,
No, it doesn't. But it's a trap that a lot of parents fall into.
especially in today's world,
Yeah.
where we're constantly bombarded with messages about what it means to be a good parent,
It's this pressure to provide our kids with everything, to make sure they have the perfect childhood.
and it can be really overwhelming.
Absolutely. And Jingle All The Way captures that feeling perfectly.
I mean, Howard's literally willing to risk life and limb for this toy,
Yeah, he's putting himself in some pretty dangerous situations,
all because he thinks it's what his son needs.
which is kind of sad when you think about it.
It is, but it's also really relatable.
Oh, for sure.
I mean, I think every parent has felt that pressure at some point to give their kids everything they want,
Even if it means sacrificing their own sanity.
or their bank account.
Exactly. And I think that's why Jingle All The Way still resonates with audiences today.
It's a reminder that we're all just trying to do our best.
And sometimes we make mistakes along the way.
But the important thing is that we learn from them
And that we prioritize our relationships with our loved ones.
over material possessions.
Absolutely. So yeah, Jingle All The Way might be a silly Christmas comedy.
But it also has some surprisingly profound things to say about parenting in the modern world.
And it reminds us that sometimes the best gifts are the ones that money can't buy.
Well said. Now, enough with the serious stuff. Let's get back to the laughs. Because let's be real, one of the main reasons we watch Jingle All the Way is for the pure entertainment value.
Oh, absolutely. This movie is a goldmine of comedic moments.
It's like a masterclass in physical comedy.
and over-the-top absurdity.
So I thought it'd be fun to take a closer look at some of the film's most memorable scenes.
And break down what makes them so funny.
Sounds good to me. Where should we start?
Well, we've already talked about the mall Santa fight scene.
Right, that one's a classic.
But there's another scene that I think is just as hilarious.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Tell me more.
It's the scene where Howard tries to sneak into his neighbor's house.
Oh, yeah, to
Yeah.
steal the Turbo Man figure
Exactly. And he ends up getting chased by the neighbor's dog.
and falling into a giant Christmas cake.
It's pure slapstick brilliance.
Arnold's facial expressions are priceless.
He looks like he's genuinely terrified of that dog.
And then when he falls into the cake, it's just too good.
It's a perfect example of how the movie uses physical humor to its advantage.
And it's not just the big slapstick moments that are funny. There are also these smaller comedic gems sprinkled throughout the film.
Oh yeah, like the scene where Howard's trying to buy batteries for the Turbo Man figure.
And the cashier gives him a hard time about not having a membership card.
It's such a relatable moment.
We've all been there.
Standing in line feeling frustrated.
While the person in front of us holds up the line.
And the way Arnold delivers that line, put that cookie down and LB.
It's just perfect.
It's a great example of how he can elevate even the simplest lines with his delivery.
He's a master of comedic timing.
Absolutely. And then there's the running gag with the booster.
That's hilarious.
This guy keeps popping up throughout the movie, always trying to get one over on Howard.
And always failing miserably.
It's like he's Howard's personal nemesis.
But a really incompetent one.
It's a great running joke.
And it adds to the film's overall sense of absurdity.
Definitely.
So yeah, Jingle All the Way is definitely a movie that knows how to make you laugh.
It's full of physical gags, witty dialogue, and memorable characters.
And it's a reminder that sometimes the best comedies are the ones that don't take themselves too seriously
They just embrace the chaos.
and let the laughs flow freely.
Exactly. So yeah, if you're looking for a holiday movie that's going to make you smile,
And maybe even snort milk out of your nose, Jingle All the Way is definitely worth checking out.
just be prepared for a wild ride.
Because this movie doesn't let up on the gas.
From start to finish.
It's a true holiday classic.
In its own unique way.
Okay, so we've laughed, we've cried, we've analyzed the film's deeper meaning, but now it's time to answer the ultimate question. Is Jingle All the Way a holiday masterpiece or just a hilarious mess?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
It is, and I think the answer is, well, it's a little bit of both.
I'd agree with that.
Right. On one hand, it's got a predictable plot, some cheesy dialogue, and some moments that are so over the top they're almost cringeworthy.
But on the other hand, It's also incredibly funny, heartwarming in its own way, and it has this undeniable charm that's hard to resist.
It's a movie that knows exactly what it is, and it doesn't apologize for it.
It embraces its silliness and its over-the-top nature.
And I think that's why it's become such a beloved holiday tradition for so many people.
It's a movie that you can watch with your family and just have a good time.
It's a movie that doesn't require you to think too hard.
It's just pure escapist entertainment,
And sometimes that's exactly what we need during the holidays.
especially after a long year.
So yeah, Jingle All the Way might not be a perfect movie, but it's a perfect holiday movie.
It's got all the right ingredients: humor, heart, and a healthy dose of holiday chaos.
It's a movie that reminds us of the importance of family, the joy of giving, and the simple pleasure of a good laugh.
It's a movie that celebrates the spirit of the season, both the good and the bad.
And it does it all with a wink and a smile.
It's a movie that's sure to put you in the holiday spirit, even if it's just for a couple hours.
So there you have it, folks. Our deep dive into the wild and wacky world of Jingle All the Way. We hope you enjoyed the ride and that you learned a thing or two about this holiday classic.
It's a movie that's definitely worth revisiting, especially if you're looking for a good laugh.
All right, well, that's all the time we have for today. But before we go, we want to hear from you. What are your thoughts on Jingle All the Way? Love it, hate it? Share your hot takes in the comments below. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and tell a friend about the deep dive for more insightful and entertaining movie reviews. We'll be back soon with another deep dive. But until then, happy holidays, everyone.
Happy holidays!